Today's video is sponsored by Dashlane, the desktop and mobile app designed to keep you and your passwords safe. Do you like exploring vast open worlds, traveling from one end to another with no loading screens, running around discovering new interesting locations and landmarks, gathering resources to craft items, tools, weapons, and armor, fighting off local wildlife or dangerous enemies, maybe taking over a camp or two? Well, then you probably like open world games. I do too. So today, I don't know what this intro is. Today I'm going to go over the 10 best looking open world games still planned for launch in 2020. I know it's been a weird year for video game releases, so many titles postponed. In fact, a lot of games that were originally going to be on my list are no longer coming out this year, but there's still enough on the schedule that I wanted to make this video to let you know everything you can still look forward to. All right, so let's get into the games. Starting us off is a title that actually just recently launched. It's called Grounded. It's an open world game with a focus on survival. You play as a kid that got shrunk to the size of an insect and must explore, build, and try to survive the dangers lurking in your own backyard. And being a survival game, you'll be doing all the survival type things that you expect. You start with nothing, must run around harvesting resources like pebbles, sprigs, and twigs, and then you use those to craft tools that let you gather better resources to craft better tools, weapons, armor, and shelter. And you'll need to do that stuff pretty quick, as the backyard is a dangerous place with massive ants, ladybugs, and spiders that will make your life a nightmare if you aren't properly prepared. There are thirst and hunger meters to keep track of, which can be filled from numerous sources. There are numerous types and tiers of weapons and armor. You can craft gear to be tanky, fast, deal more damage, carry more weight. There's a big emphasis on base building. You start off by placing down these blueprints, which you must then gather resources to construct, and you can build walls, doors, roofs, and all sorts of utility items like workbenches. The entire game takes place in this massive handcrafted backyard. You start off somewhere in the middle and must venture out, discovering various landmarks, points of interest, and new zones, all while learning about the mysterious elements that kind of put you in this situation. This is a pretty solid game with a lot of potential. I had a ton of fun in the 5 to 6 hours that I've played, although I must say there's not a lot to do at the moment. The game only has a handful of story quests that I'm pretty sure if you focused on could be finished in under an hour. And then after that, it's just a lot of gathering resources, base and gear construction, and then fighting off the 10 or so insect types. So again, the game is available at the moment. It's included in Xbox Game Pass, or it can be purchased through Xbox Game Preview, the Microsoft Store, or Steam Early Access for $29.99. But I wanted to say all of that at the end there, just to kind of let you know that right now, it's far from a complete experience. It's got a long ways to go, and you might want to hold off on spending your money until more is added and there's simply more game to play. And I'm going to continue to keep an eye and check in on this game, because I think there's some pretty neat stuff here. Next up, we've got the game on just about every single list video, the highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077, an open world action adventure RPG from CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk is set in a dystopian future where massive corporations rule everything and society has completely broke down. Since this was announced, it's been one of the most anticipated titles. Like, the hype around this thing is completely unreal, and I think it's probably justified, both due to the developer and the games they made in the past, as well as the setting. We just can't get enough of dystopia, it seems. In this game, we play as V, a mercenary outlaw searching for the key to immortality. The game will have a ton of customization options for the main character. They're promising to deliver a rich RPG experience with tons of customization, open world exploration, and choices that impact the story. And I know we hear that a lot with narrative focused games, but here they really mean it. Like, the game's gonna offer several different endings that are directly affected by your choices, the play style, and even the number of enemies you've killed. In fact, they're basically promising it's so significant of a difference that you won't see everything in the game on your first playthrough. There's gonna be a wide variety of weapons, combat options, and body modifications that let you approach situations from different angles, whether you want to use your charisma to talk your way past the bad guys, or go in guns blazing with your souped up combat skills, or maybe you try sneaking around the back for a more stealthy approach. Obstacles in the game are going to have many solutions. And of course, it wouldn't be a CD Projekt Red game without a deep, rich world. Night City will be filled of hundreds of NPCs with their own unique personalities and motivations for you to interact with. This will be coming to the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia on November 19th. Super hot take here. Yeah, this game looks pretty good. I mean, you know, it's been one of the most hyped up titles. It's on like every single list video, open world, RPG, first person shooter, whatever. This game makes it onto every list. It's super highly anticipated. I think there's good reason. I really can't deny the fact that I think it looks amazing. And the developer has a great history of making these rich, immersive worlds and experiences. So there's little reason at this point to doubt Cyberpunk 2077. It's hyped for good reason, basically. And I guess at this point, I just hope they actually hit their new target release date. Assassin's Creed returns with its latest installment set in the age of Warring Kingdoms and Viking conquest. Valhalla has us playing as Eivor, a fierce Viking raider, tasked with leading our clan to build a new home. The game begins with us moving our clan from Norway to the shores of England to escape dwindling resources in a never-ending war, and once in England, we're getting Assassin's Creed Viking Edition. The game will be following in the footsteps of the last two releases, being a full open-world Ubisoft experience with more RPG mechanics than the older Assassin's Creed games. Players can influence the world with their decisions, expanding our influence through diplomacy, building political alliances, and dialogue choices where every decision has a lasting effect on the world. They've got full customization for the main character, Eivor. You can play as male or female and then pick the looks of your face, hair, clothing, tattoos, war paint, and more. And we'll get to immerse ourselves in the Viking way of life with things like fishing, hunting, drinking, and other sort of mini-game side activities. They've overhauled the skill and gear system. Combat has been revamped to feel more impactful and brutal than ever. You're going to be able to brutally decapitate your foes, vanquish them from afar, or stealthily assassinate them with a hidden blade. And there's going to be a lot of enemy variety, with them introducing new enemy types as you progress through the game. And basically, they're talking about trying to deliver a true Viking experience. This will be coming to the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia on November the 17th. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I have really liked the recent Assassin's Creed games. I'm a big fan of loot and RPG systems and mechanics in games, and both Origin and Odyssey I thought were really fun experiences, even if there was like a bit too much of the last game. So if they can take those types of games and experiences and toss that in the world of Vikings, good, count me in. Like, I'll check that thing out, no doubt. Next on our list is another Ubisoft title, the third entry in the Watch Dogs series, Legion. The game is set in near-future London, recently attacked and on the brink of decline. You must hack, infiltrate, and fight to liberate the city. The big new feature in Legion is the fact that you can recruit anyone in the world. So the game is filled with all sorts of different NPCs that have unique traits, strengths, and weaknesses. Some of them will be great for sneaking into high-security areas. Others are combat specialists or have unique hacking capabilities. And then when you find one that you like, you can complete this little task to gain their favor and then recruit them to your team, at which point you can swap to and play them at any time. I actually got the chance to play Legion the other month and it was pretty good. Like, I had an opportunity to try a few different characters, do a lot of the open world exploration, and I ended up really liking and settling on this one hacktivist lady. She had combat hacks to incapacitate enemies, an infinite range hack, stun weapons, and the ability to go invisible, which once I found was a pretty hard thing to want to swap out for anyone else. And yeah, you know, you go around doing all of the open world Ubisoft things. There's gonna be some high security areas, which are basically like camps. You can sneak into them or fight your way through. You're gonna have the main mission to progress the story, along with all sorts of side objectives and tasks to liberate the different regions of the city. There are mini games like Kickball, where you have to time inputs to keep it going, or this parcel delivery service that has you dropping off packages to get credits. And you can just run around causing havoc, hacking vehicles to drive in different directions, raising road barriers, disabling delivery drones. Legion will be coming to the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia on October 29th. Kind of like Valhalla, this game is very much so going to be delivering the formulaic open world Ubisoft experience. Again, I know some people are way over that. I still tend to enjoy it, you know, running around doing quests, finding collectibles and messing with people in the world, taking over a installment or a camp or two. It's good. It can be a good time. I enjoy it. So those are all of the games at the moment that have firm release dates. Now, the rest of this list is still scheduled for 2020, but they haven't nailed down an exact day or in many cases even an exact month. But it is likely that a lot of this is revolving around the console launches, the next-gen consoles, whenever those actually come out, which now that I say it out loud, kind of crazy that we still don't have a set release date for those things, but anyways, so we're going to talk about the rest of the games here. Before we do though, a quick word from today's sponsor, Dashlane. Dashlane can help you with the following. It acts as a password manager for your hundreds of online accounts, letting you generate complex and strong passwords without the need to remember them, autofills personal info and payment details to speed up using checkout on any website, sends you alerts if any of your accounts are ever compromised, it monitors the dark web if your personal info is ever leaked, and it's a VPN with country select offering safe, private browsing. So if you're interested in trying Dashlane yourself, head to dashlane.com/force to get Dashlane for free on your first device. Then if you want to upgrade to premium, use the code FORCE for 25% off. All right, so first up in the rest of the list here, we've got the hyper-stylized open-world action RPG Genshin Impact. The game features a massive world packed with enemies to fight, treasures to find, and dungeons to pillage, and it's drawn a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild due to the game's structure, look, and even some of the mechanics. Like for example, it's got this climbing system. You'll be able to scale most surfaces in the game with your stamina being the only limiting factor, and just like Breath of the Wild, this will allow for all sorts of exploration of the environment. The game is packed with secrets to incentivize exploration using the climbing feature combined with a glider. There's gonna be lots of opportunities to discover hidden treasure all over the world. As you can probably see as well, the game has this very over-the-top, flashy art style and combat to match with these massive anime-inspired attacks and abilities that can be dished out on a wide array of interesting and similarly large enemies. And I think it looks pretty good. I've played so many brown and gray games over the years. It's nice to have something with so much color. And one of the unique features of Genshin Impact is its party system. As you move through the story, you're going to recruit new playable characters into your group, and then you can swap to and play them on the fly. This is essentially going to open up all sorts of different combat combo potential if you pick characters with abilities that complement each other and also utilize the game's fairly in-depth elemental system. This game is going to be free to play and it will be coming to the PC, PS4, and Switch. Oddly enough, I actually heard about this game last year. I saw a lot of people were telling me to check this out, and initially I thought it was an MMO. Now, unfortunately, it isn't. You know, unfortunately for me, I love MMOs. Genshin Impact isn't an MMO, but regardless, I think it looks pretty damn good. I love the stylized art style, the over-the-top combat. The world is gorgeous, like the coloring and everything. So definitely, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this one. The next game is kind of weird, but that can be a good thing. It's called The Eternal Cylinder. It's an open-world survival adventure game where you collect and control a herd of creatures called Trebhums. With them, you explore a planet filled with exotic life forms, interesting environments, and the constant threat of this cylinder, a giant rolling structure that crushes everything in its path. The world is procedurally generated. It contains a variety of different biomes that have their unique ecosystems and animals. There's real-time world destruction, and they're also looking to deliver emergent gameplay through what they're calling organic environmental exploration and puzzle design, which also plays into the mutation system. You can unlock numerous abilities to upgrade each of your Trebhums. There's traversal skills like flying and swimming to reach new areas, or extra senses to help you overcome puzzles, challenges, and detect dangers like other creatures. Speaking of which, there's going to be over 30 different unique creatures that populate the world. Some of them are passive, others not so much, and then players are going to have to kind of learn their behaviors and figure out where they fall in the food chain. So this game will be coming to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. If there's one thing I can say about The Eternal Cylinder, it's that it's definitely unique looking. Like, it is certainly one of the more distinct titles that we've talked about on this list. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be any good, but at the very least, this has caught my attention. Okay, so next we've got Gods and Monsters, which apparently isn't even called Gods and Monsters anymore. This one is a bit of a mess, to be honest. It's from the creators of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and is said to be an open world adventure game about a forgotten hero on a quest to save Greek gods. We'll be exploring a vast world with a mix of traversal, platforming, combat, and puzzle solving. They've got all sorts of different mysteries to discover with various trials and dungeons filled with mythological creatures to overcome. They say there's fast-paced combat with a resource management system that takes place on both the ground and in the air, and that it's full with RPG mechanics like character customization, stats, skills, and gear that has special abilities. And basically, that's all we know so far. I am just so wary about this title. Like, we still don't have any official gameplay from Ubisoft. We don't even know what the name's gonna be yet, just that it's not gonna be gods and monsters. We've just got a whole lot of nothing, which leaves me a little bit concerned about whether or not this is actually gonna hit the launch this year. Okay, I'm super pumped for this next game, which is Dying Light 2. I played a ton of the first installment, and I still consider it one of my favorite zombie games ever. This is an open world survival horror action game. This one takes place 15 years after the original. The world has plunged into a modern day dark age, and the last great human settlement is in trouble. During the daytime, bandits, factions, and starving survivors roam the streets, and at night, the infected prey on the living. We play as a character called Aiden Caldwell, an infected survivor with unique abilities. The game promises to deliver the same great movement and combat as the original, with an improved parkour system allowing for tons of freedom of movement through every inch of the city, and that brutal first-person combat from the first game with all sorts of new weapons, attack combinations that will let us take on the various human and zombie threats. The game will have a bigger emphasis as well on the decisions that we make and how it shapes the world. The city is made up of multiple factions, and the choices we make will not only change how the world looks, but also restrict or open up specific areas of the map. Like the first game, daytime will be relatively safe with the infected hiding in the shadows of different buildings, but at night they will roam the streets. Things get a little bit more dangerous and scary, but it also presents opportunities for us to explore otherwise sealed off areas. The entire game can be played solo or in 2 to 4 player co-op, and will be coming to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Yeah, I really dug the first Dying Light, like the movement, the combat, just everything about it was a lot of fun. Again, it's definitely one of my more favorite zombie game experiences ever. So I'm hoping that they can just take that and add on top of it. Next, we've got a game called Medieval Dynasty. This takes place in the wide open world of the Middle Ages and is a game about starting from nothing and building up a dynasty. We play as this poor but skilled farmer set to take fate into our own hands. We must hunt and cultivate the land, build a home, expand our village, and then with proper rule and care for our people, we can secure our place in history. So the game features a full 4 seasons with a day-night cycle and realistic weather conditions. There's an interactive environment with trees to chop down, various fruit to pluck, stone to collect, caves to explore, and more. 18 different types of buildings with various levels from hay shacks to full stone mansions. Over 60 pieces of equipment to craft, including weapons, tools, furniture, and clothing. There's realistic wildlife interactions, a detailed skill tree, unique events and decisions with direct impact on the gameplay. There's this dynasty reputation system that triggers events with the king, and there'll be quests, trade and economy, sandbox options, social connections to NPCs, and much more. The game will be coming to PC via Steam later this year. It's a neat concept for a game, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people who really want this like immersive medieval RPG experience where you start from nothing and you build up this empire, this dynasty. I'm not sure if this thing will be any fun to play. The gameplay hasn't looked fantastic, but I think there's some potential here, and I think some people could really enjoy it. Now, finally, we have a game that I have literally waited to play for years, and that is Biomutant, an open world kung fu action RPG with martial arts combat that's aimed at delivering freedom of movement that mixes shooting, melee, and mutant power abilities. The game starts with us making our very own character, a kind of combination of the squirrel, raccoon, rodent type of creature, and then as you play and progress, you can change your character's abilities and appearance with powerful mutations, bionic prosthetics, and weaponry. You'll defeat bosses and then learn their unique abilities. In doing so, you could sprout claws or wings or attach a robotic leg to your body, and all of these choices impact the way your hero plays as well as their looks. There's also these psi mutations like telekinesis and levitation, and you can unlock new combat styles as you progress, learning from these dojo wushu masters. The crafting system is said to be really in-depth, where you can mix and match parts to build countless variations of gear and weapons. You'll also have to equip special gear in parts of the world to combat the elements, and all of this is set in this massive post-apocalyptic open world that's filled with fantastic creatures to discover, dangerous factions to navigate, and a colorful landscape and world to explore with these mechs, paragliders, balloons, mounts, rock climbing, jet skis, and more. This will be coming to the PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and yeah, I've waited on this thing for quite some time. It's already missed a few years of scheduled release dates, and I'm hopeful that they can deliver in 2020. But you know what? Even if they don't, I still can't wait to play this game whenever it's ready. And with that, we conclude conclude our list of the 10 best looking upcoming open world games still planned for 2020. Hopefully you found something here that piques your interest. Again, it's been a really weird year for games with everything going on in the world and how much game development, among other things, has been affected. Things are getting delayed, pushed back, indefinitely canceled. So hopefully everything that we talked about and showed here will still actually hit the 2020 window, but kind of like my thoughts on Biomutant, even if it doesn't, it's better that a game is delayed and comes out as a full package and well polished than a game that is rushed out and comes out bad, because that's a lot harder to redeem yourself than it is to just make a good first impression. So there you go. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.